Sean Strickland. Oh, boy, I lose sleep over this guy. Sean Strickland and John Morgan. Okay? John Morgan, one of the most respected and recognized names in all of MMA media, in the history of MMA media. When you're talking about the Errol Hawanis and the Luke Thomases and the Mark Ramones, you're talking, and John Morgan's name's going to be in there. For sure, top 5 ever. Ever. Kevin Iole. John Morgan will be mentioned. John can conduct an interview as well as anybody. And he doesn't see himself as an interview guy. He sees him as I get a question here or there. John will turn a question into a press conference single-handedly if he can just let the guy run it. Love John's work. This isn't about John. It's about Strickland because I just watched 11 minutes. Oh, I got to go take a shower. I get sweaty listening to Sean. I get nervous talking about Sean or listening to Sean talk about Sean. Sean's working an angle, guys. I would never bust a guy's gimmick, particularly somebody who I'm close with. This is my teammate. Sean and I train together every single day. I care about him. But when I look at this fight, he's about to do his second main event. If he wins this, he will be on an 8-fight win streak, undefeated at 185 pounds. This is the #1 contender. If Sean goes and gets rid of Hermanson and grabs that microphone, he becomes a #1 contender. There are scenarios where that statement I just made is true. Now, I talked about this the other day. Put something out that the kids call Instagram. And I said, if this is not the #1 contenders fight, talking about Sean Strickland, Jack Hermanson, if this is not the #1 contenders fight, then you tell me what is. Well, you guys did unanimously. You told me I was out of my mind, and the #1 contenders fight is Cannonier versus Brunson. Now, I get that that's being looked at, but Brunson and Cannonier don't understand the politics of this game. They are both completely convinced that all I got to do is go win. I am 1 win away from being in there with Adesanya. They both believe that, and therefore their eye is off the ball. Nothing is done in this sport until it's done. Nothing. There was a gentleman who was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame who missed his ride to the arena. They did not put him in the next year. The year after that, he is not in the Hall of Fame. He did not make that walk and get that jacket. When I tell you nothing is done until it's done, why do you think Cannonier and Brunson haven't been named the #1 contenders match? Because the boys in the office haven't decided that it is. And there's only one other fight that they could even potentially be looking at, and it's this one. Now, I got low hand here. I do. I will not bet that Sean Strickland, Jack Hermanson goes on to be the #1 contender. I would bet that the winner of Cannonier and Brunson do. But I wouldn't bet a lot. Because there is a very good chance. And it's not good for the goose, good for the gander here. It's not, Jack's not on the table. He's just not. Strickland is. And that's where I get nervous for Sean. You don't want to go head-to-head on paper with Sean Strickland. On paper, Sean Strickland beat any of you. You don't want to go head-to-head in the cage with Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland beat any of you. You're going to have to beat him somewhere else, and there's only one other place to do it, which is the mandate of the masses, and eventually get Dana to say it prior to the fight, which is a rare thing. Sometimes he does it. Cannonier Brunson is such a dud because both of these guys are so confident in their position, and they think they got 4 or 5 fans because their Twitter following told them they did. They are doing nothing to build this fight. As soon as they do nothing to build the fight, you will not get a world title fight, period. They apparently don't understand that. Sean was at the press conference today. Well, I tell you, I got to take a shower. Feel dirty. Sean is doing a gimmick. Sean is attempting to take over the crazy market. I didn't know it existed. It turns out it does, and they love Sean. But there's politics to this game. If you're going to put the guy in a marquee fight in a world championship on pay-per-view, and you got his partner, the mouse, there's a certain kind of guy who, if you put that strap around, you got to have confidence is going to represent you in the highest forms of media that come with being your champion. And I think that Sean makes people nervous. I worry that Sean makes people nervous. Now, Sean is just performing. Sean, everybody, Henry Cejudo, Colby Covington, yours truly, Sean is performing. But you can mark out for your own gimmick over time. Terry Bollea starts calling restaurants, booking Valentine's Day for he and his old lady under the name of Hulk Hogan. He marks out. You will mark out for your own gimmick if you're given enough time. We are, as people, whoever we pretend to be. So if you're playing it gets to be a fine line. I just want Sean to remember, he's not crazy. He's not even a jerk. He's a well-thought-out, nice guy. If I was managing Sean, if he doesn't get a world title fight out of this, I would have to rejuvenate him, and I only need 60 days to do it. I will take Sean off the shell, oars out of the water, 2 months. Dead 2 months. Why do I need 2 months? Because I need 8 weeks. Why do I need 8 weeks? Because I'm going to grow his hair out. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put him in a tailored suit. I'm going to put a beautiful gold watch on him, and he's never going to use a piece of profanity again. I will bring you a whole new, different Sean Strickland. And I'll repackage him. And it would be easy to do because he'll go along with it because he's a performer anyway. Most guys' shtick are never interesting. Most guys look like fools. His shtick is getting over. He's turning the volume up. He's doing everything you're supposed to do, which is be yourself, but put it on steroids. He's doing everything right, but he's doing it too well. And I'm not sure the crazy market ever fully existed. Every now and then we get a surprise. Roy Nelson went after the everyman market. The fans look like me, and therefore I'm not going to come in here body beautiful. I'm going to come in here, and I'm even going to I'm going to do this whole thing. And it worked. People loved Roy Nelson. They still love Roy Nelson. I have been at 11 Roy Nelson fights. You will not believe the reception he gets when he walks through that curtain. I would not have predicted that ahead of time. So I get them wrong every now and then. Sean's, I would not predict how to market. It turns out it does. There's a whole crazy market out there. And this is their leader, and they are going to speak up, and they're going to want him in there for a world title fight. They're not going to give a goddamn what the rankings are. This is 4 versus 5, and Cannonier Brunson's 2 versus 3. It doesn't work that. We want to see parity. Enough with the rematches for poor Adesanya. Brunson's getting a fight Adesanya. I mean, in all fair, are we going to be excited to see that? In all fairness, that's not fair to Derek at all. Derek Brunson has done a fantastic job. I could spend 20 minutes shining that guy's wheels. But he's also in a game that he's not aware he's playing. If the promoter sees that that's your game, he can't elevate you. He just can't do it. The fans will not get behind you. They just can't. Fans are going to want to see fights, and they're going to speak up for the fights that they want to see. The very first thing that Sean Strickland offers, as far as a world title fight to Izzy goes, is parity. That is a huge plus in this sport. So that puts Derek at a disadvantage right from Jump Street. Cannonier, a little bit different story. Something new there. I've met Cannonier. I've been with him. He's interesting. He could use a little bit of help, but he's an interesting guy. And it's these stories that are selling. It's these stories that work. Nobody's going to know what your ranking or what's your record or what's your weight or how much did your mother love you. What is your story? And I'm going to judge what I want to see off of whose story I like the most. Crazy Sean Strickland is right onto something. But there becomes a point where you can go over that edge and you can't return. There can become a point where you mark out for your own gimmick. I know it's an expression I keep using, but it's a vernacular within the industry. And it happens to people all the time, and they forget. I got a friend. Let's see if you recognize this. Very good friend of mine. I got a friend who at some point, it was about 6 years ago, started talking like this in interviews. I just thought it was something interesting. It was like his version of the Macho Man Randy Savage. But he started talking like this in interviews. I now talk to that friend privately. I called my friend on his birthday. I called him on Christmas Day to wish him well. And he answered the phone and spoke to me like this. And I'm going, excuse me, it's Chael. Can the real you come up? Not the performer. But he didn't know how anymore. This is now his natural speaking voice. He did this so many times in so many interviews, and he worked on it and he perfected it to the point that he forgot what the real voice is. And now every time you talk to him, he's got to sound like this. This is real. You will be whoever you pretend to be. Sean's not there yet. Sean's just smarter than everybody else in the room. But he could get there, and I don't want him to. And I would put the brakes on right after this. If 8 fights in a row, 2 main events, doesn't get you a world title fight, you need to elect yourself the mayor of Get the Hintville. It's something else. It's not me, it's you. Well, no, sometimes it is me. Sometimes I got to look at the guy in the mirror. If Sean whips 8 guys in a row, is undefeated in the division, and gets passed over for somebody who was already having a chance and did not even get a piece of offense off, it's not you, it's me. I take him out of the water. You will never hear from him. You will never see a training footage from him. You will not see an interview from him. I will lock him down. I will have David Aston to his private room that I've got him sitting in as he grows his hair out. I will have him suited and booted. I'll put some gaiters on his feet. I'll be a fake Rolex. I'm not a real douchebag. I wouldn't buy him a real one. I'll get him a knockoff on his arm, and nobody's going to know the difference. He comes out, he's got a new hairdo. He's going to be talking a whole new tune. But he's still going to have 8 in a row. He's still going to be undefeated within the division. His last loss will be to the current greatest fighter doing it, Kamaru Usman. I will get him that title shot.